Why sea kayaking? To simply said, it's enjoying nature in the active way. It's the matter of freedom. We have opportunity to go where no other person, no other tourist is able to go. When you sit into this kayak, it's a kind of form of meditation. You connect with the sea, listening the sounds of nature, the waves hitting the shore. You can smell the water. But it's not only about the must-see spot. It's actually about the best hidden secrets. My name is Dejan, born and raised in Croatia. I'm owner, co-founder, tour designer, and guide with Red Adventures Croatia here in Split. We're a company that exists since 12 years ago. So how did the whole thing started? I was sitting at the office working in finance. I decided to do a career switch, and it was pretty logical in which direction to go. Being a passionate windsurfer, mountaineer, and rock climber, I wanted to go into that direction. And together with my friend that also did the career switch from the law degree, we decided to start Red Adventures Croatia. So we've been on the market for 12 years, started in a wide range of activities. However, kayaking became kind of our core business. Back in those days, sea kayaking was just in the start in Croatia. As some of you might know, this sport is coming from the northern seas, from North Europe, from North America. In Croatia, it came with tourists some 20 years ago, and demand of tourists back in those days was pretty high, and we found our place there. So me, myself personally, I traveled all around the world, 6 continents, and decided that I want to go back and dedicate my time to present our beautiful country. Going from Patagonia to New Zealand, I realized that Croatia is really, for me personally, the most beautiful place, and I will try to share that love and that emotion with you guys. We are going to talk about Croatia and sea kayaking in this beautiful country. We are going to talk about especially island of Greece, my most favorite island, not only in Croatia, but all around the world. And we are going to talk about Magic Island Tour. This is a special kayaking tour that we organized since 11 years ago. And I will try to present and share a little bit of emotion about that tour to you guys. We'll go through some practical information about this tour. So, Croatia is based in Central Europe, having its coastal part position on Adriatic Sea being a part of the Mediterranean Sea, and the continental part being part of Central Europe. Actually, these two parts defining our culture, so people on the coastline and people inland, I would say are very different people. Historically, the south was always influenced more by Italians, and the north was more influenced by Austrian culture. So here we are. You can see how Croatia looks like in shape, and you can particularly see Dalmatia, our coastal part on the south of the country, which we like to say sometimes that we are even more Dalmatian than Croatian. Croatia has a very interesting tourist slogan. It's a small country for a great holiday. It's a very interesting phrase, and I have to agree fully with it. It's a really small country. To travel from the pure north to the pure south or east to west, you need just several hours of drive. However, you have so many natural beauty and history being zipped in this little space. So why is a Croatia country to visit? Since it became like hotspot and one of the most attractive destinations in the whole world for to travel in the last 10 years, but people were visiting Croatia even far before that. It's about the beautiful nature, beautiful coastline, so many different islands, rich history, rich cultural heritage, and so much more, especially gastronomy-wise. Why sea kayaking? That's a very good question. Not sure how many of you tried this activity in the past. Sea kayaking is one really amazing activity, and to simply said, it's enjoying nature in the active way. What I love about sea kayaking is when you sit into this kayak, it's a kind of form of meditation. You connect with the sea. I think there is no such activity where you can go so fast on the sea or being so close to the water. You're swimming, you're slow. If you're in a boat, you're not that close to the sea surface. One of the amazing things with kayaking is that you can reach the unreachable. So you can visit the places that you can visit only from the sea, and some of these places even cannot be visited by boat. You can take a look on this photo here that we have. You can see a very remote and lonely place, a lonely island, just a tiny beach where you can get out with a kayak. In addition, it's the matter of freedom. Being in a kayak, you can go anywhere where the sea, of course, allows. And it's just an amazing feeling, especially here in Croatia, where we have very, very pleasant and mild conditions for kayaking. For me, sea kayaking is kind of meditation. We are talking about those days when the wind is very calm and the sea is very calm. You can just smoothly go and explore the coastline with all your senses being open, listening to the sounds of nature, the waves hitting the shore, the birds singing around you. You can smell the water, literally, a pleasant, nice smell of the sea, and obviously you can see and enjoy the coastline all around you. The beautiful thing about kayaking is you can literally touch any stone on your way. You can refresh your hands, put the water on your face. For me, really a beautiful sense of freedom and blending into the nature in a very special way. And for here, when you're doing a visit to Croatia with a kayak, there is one very important thing. Your kayak can take you far away from tourist crowds. If you take a look on this photo, can show so much about why Croatia is the best destination for kayak. Pleasant weather, hot summers, warm spring, warm autumn, beautiful turquoise water is swimmable in the whole range of the season that I mentioned here. You have beautiful landscapes, mountain going straight up from the sea, beautiful forest also covering all of our island. And then we have history. You can see a beautiful monastery here, amazing local culture, gastronomy and wines. I have to mention for those that have some previous kayaking experience, especially out there on the northern seas and on the oceans, that Croatian Adriatic Sea offers incredible conditions. First of all, we have very low tides, high tide and low tide range in only 30 centimeters. The currents are very mild, so only thing that you have to worry about is actually the winds. And we are lucky also that we don't have plenty of storms, so with the good planning you can have amazing and safe time out there on the water. We can say that Croatia has 3 kayaking regions: Eastern Quadrant on the north, Northern Dalmatia, and Middle and Southern Dalmatia being one big kayaking region. I personally believe that the Middle and South Dalmatia are the most beautiful parts because we have so many beautiful islands, impressive coastline, cliffs, caves, hidden coves. But for me especially, and when we started exploring the potential, immediately we realized that Island Vis is the most amazing place for kayaking. You can see here on the map that Island Vis is actually the most remote Croatian island. And that makes it so special and so interesting. So what about the kayaking season? When is the best time to come to Croatia? Obviously, summer is our peak season. It means hot weather, very warm sea. It means also quite big tourist crowds, of course. So for that reason, I always say summer, definitely. But if you ask me, I always would choose the shoulder season. So May and June, September and October are the best periods for kayaking here. You have very low crowds. You have much less boats out on the sea. You have still a beautiful weather. We have a sea temperature that still allows you to swim, especially in September and early October. I have to say that this is general suggestion, especially for novices, but for intermediate kayakers and experts, their season is actually much wider. So me personally, I would even go March, April, October and November for those sufficient kayaking experience, especially for those from the north. It's a perfect escape from Scandinavian countries to come to Croatia for kayaking. When you have minus degrees temperatures up there, you will have 15 degrees Celsius in Croatia and plenty of sunny days. And what's so special about Island Vis? It was closed for public from 1945 until 1992. Government decided to make it a military zone, so it was closed. There were no tourists and domestic or international visiting the island. And that's the beauty. The island was protected. In all the development that you had in the decades, the island was completely preserved, and it's actually local community that hosts you in their Airbnbs, and you spend the time within all beautiful stone houses, 100 years old, most of them. It's not only about, obviously, recent history. This island has a very, very rich ancient history. The whole history in the island starts with the Greeks arriving to this island 2,400 years ago, making their colony to produce wines and grape and olive oil, and export it back to Greece. shortly after them, we had Romans, then Slavic tribe coming here in 7th century, like Ottoman Empire, Venetian Republic, Austro-Hungarians, British, French even during the Napoleon time, and Americans during the World War II. So very, very interesting history. And why is it all there? Because the most remote island was a very strategical point, and it was always said that the one who controls the island beast controls the Adriatic Sea. So we have actually a lot of naval history, the boats sunken there, and during the Second World War, actually even airplanes. But the most important thing, and for me, the most interesting thing on this island are actually locals. So in all of this historical isolation, the island preserved the authentic and old way of life. If we can put it in one word, it will be pomalo. Pomalo on our language means take it easy. So you will see all these hardworking people actually working in their farms, growing their vineyards, olive tree farms, and people from Komiža going fishing, but they take their life very easily, very slowly. You drink your coffee for hours, you take a very slow walk around the place. People are really sociable, they communicate and talk to each other. It's just unavoidable. And most importantly for some people, and the reason why so many people come to this island, it's actually gastronomy. The island is one of the, I would say, the capitals of seafood production on the whole coastline. For centuries and centuries, the island, especially the place called Komiža, were living out of fishing. Back in the days, they had 7 fish factories in the town, and unfortunately, the history took them all. However, even these days, the biggest income for the community comes from fishing, but it's more on a family level, catching fish and selling it to restaurants, etc. In addition to that, Island Beach being so remote out there in the open sea has such an interesting coastline. So many cliffs, so many caves, little hidden coasts created by big waves hitting the island for centuries and millennia, form something which is really breathtaking. Island Beach has so many must-see spots, the famous places. Particularly here on this photo, you can see Kija Bay, considered and counted to be among the top 10 beaches of Europe and even the world. What is so specific is it used to be the cave. As you can see, there is this two-cliff formation on the sides. It used to be all one big cave formed by the sea effect for centuries, eventually falling down. And we have the effect, as you can see now here, one of the most interesting, most beautiful places in the world. But it's not only about the beaches. We have Pina Beach, the famous Silver Beach. Much more than that. You have 2 beautiful little towns. The town of Beach, with population of only 1,900 people, and little village or coastal town, how we like to say, Komiža, with a little bit less than 1,000 people. 2 amazing little towns with authentic culture, with so much history. The whole town being built with stone and not being affected with mass tourism. Every corner just smells with a rich history, with the tradition, with the legends. It's something really breathtaking. You can really dive into and get yourself lost in the time there. But Island Beach is not only about the must-see spot, it's actually about the best hidden secrets. And us being out there with the kayak, we have opportunity to go where no other person, no other tourist is able to go. And this is what makes it so special. So here is like a small promo video that is fully made on Island Beach, just so you can get into the vibe of the island a little bit. We have the name for this island, the tour kayak being done with the kayak. It's called the Magic Island Tour, and it's our favorite tour with all of our guides in the company. I have to say, I don't know how many times I did this tour, and I always feel so amazing. And every time, every experience is so unique. So the island beach, first of all, it's 17 kilometers wide and 7 kilometers long. So it's a pretty small island. And on the southeast, you can see here on the map, we have a beautiful island of Bishevo that we also covered during this program. So the whole program takes actually 6 days, out of which we spend 5 on these 2 beautiful islands, including the intro day in Split where we meet. And we cover up to 90 kilometers of kayaking during these 6 days. On average, we do 15 kilometers per day, but it depends on the weather conditions and the group pace, etc. During the program, we actually covered 3 different islands, 3 big ones. The Island Beach, Island Bishevo, and Island Chiovo, which is located next to our beautiful town of Split. What is important to say is we have activity every day, but it's not only about the kayaking. It's about hiking, an extra day of biking, cliff jumping, snorkeling, deep water soloing, and so much more. So our meeting point is in Split. It's a beautiful town with a rich history, 1,700 years old palace. This beautiful place is our meeting point. It's a convenient place because we have an airport here, with direct connections with several towns in Europe, but also it's convenient to land in any other airport in Croatia and just take a bus connection or other method of travel to arrive to Split. From here we have an intro day. Actually, intro day consists of several parts. First of all, we do tour briefing as we go much more into details. Then we have a kayak fitting, making sure that you get the most suitable and most convenient kayak for you. We have a wide range of kayaks, singles and doubles, wider and more narrow, with rudders, with skis, etc. So we make sure that you have a most convenient kayak for you, and then we have the warm-up session starting from one of the beaches in Split and going to beautiful island of Chiovo nearby. There you get a small link of what you're going to experience on Island Beach. As you can see on Island Chiovo, we have a beautiful but smaller cliffs compared to Island Beach. We have nice boulder formations in the water, crystal clear seas, although being so close to the town of Split. And finally, one amazing little beach where we have a break. This beach, as you can see, can be reached only from the sea. No other way to reach it. 90% of the time we are completely alone there. What's the point of this day number 1? It's to make sure that you get the most convenient kayak, for you to get yourself warm before going to the island of Vis, and for us to get impression about the overall kayaking level of our group. This makes sure that we can adjust and modify daily activities on Island Beach accordingly, and make sure that everyone gets a little bit of extra knowledge from our guides if it's necessary. And then the next day, day number 1, if we will call the intro day, day number 0, we arrive to the island of Beach with the ferry, 2 hours, 20 minutes away from Split. And we provide you some 1 hour for free time to enjoy and explore, wander around the town of Vis that you can see here on the picture, while we prepare the kayaks and all the equipment for the tour. As we are ready, we load the kayaks and we are ready to go out on the open sea. We don't always do the same schedule of the tour because it depends on the weather conditions. If the wind is strong from the northern direction, we turn to the south route and other way around. So the north shore we like to call, to summarize, it's about the wilderness and naval history. First of all, very close to the island of Vis, we'll be able to explore by kayak the naval tunnels that you can see here on the photo, being constructed in the last century during the Cold War to protect naval fleet from potential bombing of NATO back in those days. Actually, my father spent many days and many months there as he was a former official on one of these torpedo boats. So I have a family connection with this place. Now they became a very interesting tourist attraction. It's funny feeling to get into it. You have 10-15 degrees lower temperature comparing to being out there on the sea, and the acoustic of the tunnel is something that you can just imagine. So from there we continue our exploration of the North Shore. Actually, the whole North Shore, in a stretch of 20 kilometers, there are just 2 bays that have some people living there. The North Shore is formed by the Bura wind, a very famous wind and notorious wind here in Croatia, blowing from the northeast, forming these interesting storm formations. So these storms that come, the wind can blow more than 100 kilometers per hour, actually even more, forming very short and rough steep waves. And they formed this very interesting coastline that didn't actually allow people even to build the houses there. We'll be, during this day on the North Shore, we'll be exploring the coastline and enjoy interesting storm formations. However, there are a couple of little beaches or coves where we can do a nice break and where we get rest, take a swim, do some snorkeling, and of course have a verbal snack before continuing the tour. Eventually, we arrived to the beautiful town of Komija, and it has only 800 people. During the winter, maybe even less. It's a beautiful and magical place facing south, so you get plenty of sun. There is this view on the open sea, which is pretty rare thing actually in Croatia because of all those 1,244 islands. And you really dive into the history here. You can see here the fortress on the right being made in 16th century to protect the local population from the Turks and pirates that were hanging around the area back in those days. So Komija is going to be our base. This is where we are going to have all 4 overnights during your kayaking tour. Here you can see a beautiful view on the town. So tiny little place, old stone houses, very, very few houses that are newer than 100 years old. Such an amazing place. And you can see the fields, the farms behind the place. As I mentioned before, Komija used to live from fishing. These days, everything is more directed to tourism. However, economy still makes more income from fishing because the locals, as you can see, all these little fishing boats in the middle of the bay, they go out fishing and they sell the fish. However, they also grow olive trees, vineyards, so much fresh products that you will have a chance to taste during your stay on the island. There are no serious hotels on the island, so we are using the local family Airbnbs and guest houses. You can see one example of accommodation here in photo. So usually we are staying in old stone houses made 100 years ago and obviously refurbished for modern tourism use these days. Very charming, very chilly. The stone is a perfect isolator from the heat. So we, of course, handpick every of these accommodations based on our previous experience to make sure that you have the most comfortable stay because after the whole day in kayak, you really want to have a nice and decent rest and a good bed for the night. So how the average day on the tour looks like? To summarize it, we can say eat, kayak, sleep, repeat. We wake up relatively early in the morning. We prepare the breakfast for the group. We make sure that we meet all your needs and expectations by a questionnaire that will be sent to you before the tour that you fill out so we know what you like for breakfast, being eggs, being cereals, fruits, bread spreads, whatever. We make sure. Of course, we also make sure to satisfy all specific dietary requirements like gluten-free, kosher, or whatever would be your requirement. After that, we try to go early on the kayaks, usually 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock latest. We get into our kayaks to make sure to use the day the best. And we spend usually 5 to 6 hours, even sometimes more, out there on the kayaks, even sometimes 8 hours, depends on the weather and the pace of the group. However, we have quite a few breaks during the tour to make sure that you have a nice rest for you to enjoy the beach, swim, snorkel. We provide the snorkeling gear, of course, and prepare a nice lunch snack for your refreshment and during the midday. This is usually pastries, sandwiches, fruits, fruit bars, etc. And then upon end of kayaking day, we go back to Komija. Transfers are, of course, arranged by our company, and you have your evening there. The evenings in Komija are just amazing, diving into that beautiful vibe that I mentioned, going around the locals, being noisy, happy, crazy, singing around on the street, something really unique vibe in that little town. People are definitely something that you will remember after the tour, the way they live. After that, of course, sleeping, and we repeat this on daily basis. I already mentioned that Kija Bay is our base, but also our playground. We can see here that some of the houses are literally built by stone going straight up from the sea. You can imagine the feeling of waking up on that window, opening the door, and being able to literally jump from your window into the beautiful crystal clear water. Some of the pictures from the Kija Bay, you can see the visual of the place. And of course, many happy smiles and amazing feeling being out there on the sea, in the kayak and exploring this beautiful place. Kija Bay, of course, has also quite a few of hidden beaches that you can see, just like this one on the photo, that you can reach only by kayak and enjoy it all for yourself here. Interesting fact, you can see here on this photo, this like a flat stone. It's very famous because centuries ago, Greta Garbo came to Croatia while making a famous Hollywood star from the early days of movie, and this was her favorite stone where she was sunbathing for days and days and days. So this is how this name of the beach is Kupinovac, but people like to call it Greta Garbo Beach. Talking about the pop culture, we can also mention that Mamma Mia 2, the famous movie production, was made on Island Beach. Actually, quite a few of my friends were contributing. They were behind-the-scene people and doing some dances in the video. So that was a very interesting time and made this island even more popular. A lot of people think it's on a Greek island, but in reality, the whole movie was being done on this island. So we were able to have Pierce Brosnan with us during that time, and it all happened during the peak season when we were doing our kayaking tour. It was very interesting and hectic place. We have like kind of 5 different routes. The northern route we covered in the start, mentioning those level tunnels and wilderness. Then we have Kija Bay, which is a beautiful place where we kayak around the Kija town. We also are able to explore some of the cliffs there, where you are able even to pick your capers out from your kayak. We have several beautiful beaches, and we have a very interesting and unique thing that you can do. There is a water spring coming out from a vertical cliff on 1 meter above sea level. So you are able to pass by with your kayak and bring the water from the spring straight out while sitting in the kayak. Amazing experience, and the water is definitely clear and drinkable. Then we have the island of Piševo, and how I like to call it, it's a one step further. While Island Beach is such a remote place, the most remote Croatian island, this one is a step away from that. So during the stormy day, during the winter, this island gets completely isolated. No one is able to get in or get out from the kayak because the waves between the island Beach and Croatia can be really big, and the boat line connecting them is pretty small. So all 9, you heard it right, all 9 people living on the island get stuck there without the stocks, but they're used to it, obviously. You can imagine about it. So how we reach the island? We have 2 ways, depending on how we do the tour and how the weather permits. We have the beautiful old wooden boat, our partner Darko, that takes us there with the kayak. You can see here on the photo, one of my favorite experiences. Or if the wind is strong, we take the official line. It's just like a kind of a bigger speedboat that takes us there and actually even past the time, only 35 minutes. Once when we reach the island, the first thing that we do is visit Blue Cave. Blue Cave is really something out of this world. You can see it by the photo, but you can just imagine being inside. I will tell you one funny thing about me and the Blue Cave, our relation. Back in the days when I was young, I would go there with my father with our sailboat, and we would spend hours, the full day, just diving into this place. We would go in with a little dinghy, take food, and just snorkel and dive around the place. Literally the whole day be spent inside. However, when the tourism came in a rough way, 10, 15 years ago, they had to put some rules. So there is an official company taking 10 people at a time in the cave. And your duration of the stay is only 15 minutes. When the whole system came in, I just decided not to go into the cave again. I had the impression that it's going to ruin my memories. And until this year that I decided to go in the cave again, of course, I was so happy. The feeling of being inside, enjoying this unimaginable watercolor just out of this planet. And when we are talking about it, just to mention how the whole thing happened. The effect is caused by the sun rays going through the sea to get into the cave. So the only entrance, the one that provides the light to go in, is actually beneath the water. So the sun rays have to go through the sea, causing this beautiful color inside. So there are 2 ways that we cover the island. It's either hiking, either kayaking. Sometimes we do both. The reason for that is the weather conditions on the island can be very, very complicated to do the trip with the kayak. So for that reason, if the weather doesn't permit, if the group is not experienced enough, we do the exploration of island by foot. This is a wonderful experience. You have a beautiful small hiking paths. You have the village, the capital of the island, with only 9 people on average living there. We visit the place. We get the chance to drink some of their Višovski plavac, amazing, authentic local wine. A few vineyards that they have on the island. You have beautiful stone formations that we call sukhozid, which mean literally drywall. You can see it on the picture to the left. And you can see the traditional housing constructions from 100 years ago behind, like it's just made of stone. So stone formation, some stone tiles on the roof, and that's it. Very, very simple life. So as I mentioned, like one of the options to explore the island is by hiking. Other is hopefully with a kayak. And this is really amazing experience. I really love doing the exploration of the island Višov by kayak because we are usually all alone by ourselves there. And we have one of the most interesting attractions. You can see here the Sea Cave. So there is a type of seal that used to live in this area, got almost completely extinct in the past centuries, unfortunately, because they were the biggest enemies of fishermen. Occasionally we still see them around, but they don't populate this cave for 100 years ago. What's the beauty about the cave? So you have 150 meters long cave that has complete dark inside. So to explore the whole cave, you need to have a headlamp. And 100 meters inside, deep inside, there is a beautiful little pebble beach where the sea monks used to live. So one of really amazing places. I always enjoy getting into this cave. Overall, doing the tour by hike or doing it with a kayak, we eventually finish on Porat Beach. Beautiful sandy beach where we spend the rest of the day chilling out, swimming, having, of course, midday snack, etc. And then, of course, we go back to our beautiful Komiža town. Then we have the South Shore. This is my favorite part of the trip. Like, I like all of them, but this is really a favorite place. What's so special about it? To summarize it, I will call this day cliffs, caves, and hidden coves. Just breathtaking. So I have to say that I did this tour, I mentioned before, I don't know how many times. Every time I do this tour, you just get a different feeling. You see something different, interesting stone formation, a new little cave. It's just stunning. Even doing it from east to west or west to east, it's a completely different experience. This day, you can often see a tear coming out from my eye. And like my life goal is to get retired on this island without doubt. So here you can see an example of caves there. The one to the left, we call it the underpants. It's for its specific shape. As you can see, the old people back in the days here had very long underpants and they have the shape of it. So you will see quite a few beautiful caves that you can kayak into. Obviously, the only way to explore these caves, because they are very, very far from any road, any beach. So kayak and the boat are the only ways to approach it. To go in, it's either swim or kayak. So you have pretty unique opportunity to explore the cave. Along the way, we are going to visit quite a few beautiful beaches. This one is called Pina Beach and it's quite popular. We love to make a stop there, have lunch, enjoy, snorkel, whatever you want to do, and whatever makes you happy. Then, of course, we'll be visiting Kija Bay. The experience of visiting this bay depends on the season. So during the summers, it can get pretty busy, sometimes actually even frustrating busy, but in the shoulder season, you can get this place all around for yourself, especially with the good timing. So we always make a nice stop there, of course, and then proceed further. We usually finish this day exploring the South Shore of Srebrna Beach. In literal translation, that would be the Silver Beach. You can see on this photo a very specific color that is caused by beautiful pebble stones combined with the watercolor. Really, really unique and a great place to grab your snorkel and wander around this reef that you can see around the place. Quite a few fishes around. And then we have the East Shore. East Shore, to summarize, it will be islets, sand, and lighthouses. These days, usually the smoothest day weather-wise. Very cold water, some boats around, of course, because the islets around there are also quite popular. We have a green cave on one of the islands there, a popular spot. It's not as nice as the Blue Cave and the Seymour Cave, but still a very interesting natural formation. We have a couple of blue lagoons where you can really enjoy looking beneath you, seeing fishes, seeing this beautiful color. It's just an amazing experience to kayak around there. And then we have a couple of very interesting beaches that we visit on along the way. This is my favorite. It's called Velas Mokoa, which means like a big bay. It's a place where you have beautiful white sand, no houses around, a long hiking way to reach it by land. So vast majority of people visit this place by kayak or a boat. Quite often we get there completely alone, and you can see you have this island range just around the place. Really, really stunning place. I like to relate it to the famous movie, Leonardo DiCaprio's movie, The Beach. Beautiful place where we have one snake and plenty of time to just enjoy and swim. Sometimes we also do pitching game here, a traditional local game done on the shallow water with a small ball. Interesting thing about Kija Bay is also that 5 meters deep you can see wing of one of American fighter planes from the Second World War that crashed there. It's still standing there, and it's just unimaginable that you can even snorkel down and touch it with your bare hand. Amazing place. After that, we have Stor. It's a lighthouse built by Austro-Hungarian Empire in the 19th century to make maritime traffic more secure. Today, one of the very famous attractions on the island. There is the host, the guy that is responsible for the place called Icho. He's one of the local legends, very controversial person, but typical example of a local place living isolated on the island. Here on one of these photos, you can see a beautiful crystal water. It's just amazing to enjoy your view around you. While looking around, enjoying the nature around you, the coastline, you always should not forget to take a look on the underwater also. But this tour is not only about the kayaking. First of all, there is an amazing local gastronomy. This is kind of the capital of seafood in Croatia, and here you can see my favorite dish. It's called Krka. Krka is very interesting. Traditional dishes are all around the place, but on this they do it the best, and they do it mostly with octopus. You can choose actually your ingredients. So it can be octopus, it can be fish, or it can be a type of meat. There are also vegetarian ones, although not as interesting as the other ones. So it's a shallow pot in which you put one of the main ingredients that I mentioned, plus potatoes and onions, and you put it under the iron bell. You can see the iron bell to your left here on the photo. So you cover it with the iron bell, you put the charcoal on top of it, and it takes 1.5 hours, even 2, depending on the ingredient, to get ready. The smells and the smoke, it's just amazing. And being 1.5 hours, 2 hours inside, it just provides a special taste. Of course, this is not the only dish around the place. There's so many other dishes, especially fresh fishes, available all around the place. And we can always give you good recommendations for the dinners. We have a special favorite dinner where we take you to one of these peka dishes, while other nights are free to choose the restaurant on your own choice. And we are happy to provide you our local knowledge and expertise to make sure you have the best experience. But it's not only about the food. Islanders have amazing wines, reds and whites, whatever you like. Most famous Croatian red wine called Plavac Mali, the cousin of the Fandel, actually kind of the ancestor of the Fandel, American famous wine store these days. But also they have amazing whites. You can see a glass of Ugava here on your left. It's amazing wine with pretty strong, but with kind of honey aftertaste. They don't have such a big production because the island is relatively small, but just enough for you to have the opportunity to try. Here we can see one of our visits, the farewell dinners. We always go to places that we like called Konoba. Konoba, the name is coming from the old days when the tourism just came to Croatia, and there was no obviously tourist facilities and restaurants. So Konoba was traditionally placed in the ground floor of the house where people were keeping their wine, their fishing nets, their agricultural tools. So when the tourists started getting in here 78 years ago, people just started offering their wine and their food from this Konoba, just in front of Konoba, which was their storage place, eventually turning these places into restaurants, traditional restaurants, which we call Konobas today. So we always make sure that to take you to one of these places for the farewell dinner for a very special and unique local experience. Beyond kayaking, it's not only about that. The island Islands offers amazing walking and hiking opportunities. We always like to combine and spice up our itineraries with some of the walking and hiking tours. You can see here one of our beautiful hikes with the view on Kija Bay. Amazing biking opportunity, but just for one day. The whole island has in total 45 kilometers of paved roads, so you can perfectly cover it in half-day activity. If we have a windy or a stormy day, we might opt to skip the kayaking for that day for the safety and comfort, and then we take you for this beautiful and amazing bike ride around the vineyards and all the tree farms, carrot farms. It's really a special and memorable experience. Of course, during your kayaking tour, you will have a chance to do some cliff jumping, deep water soloing. You can see me just scrambling barefoot in one of these cliffs on the island. Of course, deep water soloing means that you have to jump back into the water from up there. No one's going to bring you down. And of course, snorkeling and scuba diving. Snorkeling is a part of our gear, so we provide it always to our clients so they can just take the snorkel on every break and just explore beneath the sea surface. But for those that are into scuba diving, we can arrange with our local partner to take you to one of these airplane or shipwrecks and dive there. Especially like if you have interest in scuba diving, we would suggest to stay longer on the island, at least 2-3 days, and go for scuba diving sessions with the local partner. We can help you out with all the arrangements. So about the gear, we of course use the expedition kayaks, flipping kayaks, as the ones that you can see here on the photo. They make sure that you can go fast, that you are safe and comfortable because you have the backrest. You can take a lot of storage equipment into these front and back hatches, 180 liters of capacity. Also, they keep you dry during the colder season, and also they are pretty stable and they are great for big waves. For those with the previous experience, we always suggest using a single kayak, or especially if you're a solo traveler. For couples, friends, especially those with lack of experience, a double kayak from picture below here might be a good and convenient option. We also, of course, provide pedal, dry bags, buoyancy aid, and a spray skirt, and everything else that you need for your kayak. So what you have to bring with you is the sun protection. Of course, your swimming suit, hats, glasses, sun cream. Lycra shirt is always long. Lycra shirt is recommended. If you're coming in shoulder season, a rain jacket might be a good option. Neoprene or something like that, only if you're coming in shoulder season and you're afraid of the cold, but you won't need it. Talking about it, we already started talking about some practical information. We talked about the meals. We have breakfast and lunch included every day of the tour. Dinners are at your own cost, except the farewell dinner that we all make sure to have a special place, Pekka, Honova, and have like one night all together. Of course, we'll be providing you suggestions and recommendations, tips where to eat. Accommodation, we already talked about it. Local Airbnbs, handpicked based on our local experience, making sure you have a nice and comfortable rest. Always very, very close, just steps away from the sea, from the main promenade in Kija, where you can have your walks after the kayaking and enjoy your free time, of course. Clothing depends on the season, so we always send a packing list to our clients for booking, making sure that you don't forget something that might be crucial. Of course, the season defines what you're going to bring with you. Summers, you can travel really light because you just need short sleeves, maybe a long sleeve for the evenings. Even that is pretty rare. But if you're coming in the shoulder season, you will want to have longer sleeves, more changes to do, and wearing the rain jacket might be useful for some of the days. And all the extra things, of course, come with the packing list that we send to you. Safety measures, bad weather. Of course, I mentioned we always make disclaimer that the exact route, the schedule of the route depends on the weather conditions. The beauty of having islands, round island like this, is that you always have a shade from every wind direction. If the wind is from the north, you take the south shore and other way around. In 99% of cases, we manage to do the whole itinerary. Exceptional case, winter, there might be a reason to cancel one of the days and then we go biking so you don't lose your day for nothing, definitely. Safety measures, I would say, so as I mentioned, everyone are welcome on the tour. If you're a beginner, you want to come during the summer season, June, July, August, September. If you're intermediate to expert, you can go even wider. We always recommend to reasonable physical fitness. If you're a couple of friends or a couple and one of you thinks that he or she is not strong enough, you can always partner with your stronger partner. The double kayak that we use has exceptional maritime capabilities, great speed, so doubles are usually even faster than a single ones. That's pretty much all. I think we managed to cover everything. I decided I'm certain that I'm going to get retired and move there. So I think there is no better invitation and better reason to see why. And believe me, I traveled the whole world, 100 countries, 6 continents. This is the place.